Hello, Bob Ward. Welcome to the Author Interviews Group. My name is Tricia, and I am a group member. I see you've written a novel called Sea Turtles, a Kipstone adventure. Would you give us a brief overview of the novel?
This book is everything that I wanted to do with the series. It features Kip Stone. He works for Epic Adventures, Inc. And I've written up something here in the book's description, so I might as well just read that because it's the best I could do as far as describing it. Here we go. When he hired Fiona Hill, he thought she'd left her past in the past. Now Kip Stone is about to find out otherwise. He's in the process of auditing Epic's new liveaboard scuba vacation, Treasures of the Caribbean, and all goes well until Billy Ingram shows up. Billy's on the run for pulling another fast one, and although Fiona denies she's still involved, it's hard to believe she's an innocent victim. Why else would Billy have traveled so far from the Bahamas to the Cayman Islands, expecting to steal her away? In addition to Billy, a handful of other scoundrels emerge. They want Fiona too, and none of them care that they're interrupting the peaceful enjoyment of an Epic Adventures vacation. Now, with several clients aboard, Kip has to scramble to keep their scuba itinerary on track. When that effort fails, he turns his attention to saving lives, salvaging what he can of Epic's capital investment, and keeping his head on straight regarding the alluring and mystical Fiona. Is she lying? What's the truth? Why does everyone want her? Now you're supposed to imagine explosions and, sexy hard bodies running around in the Caribbean, but it's really just kind of a cool scuba vacation that starts to go wrong. So it's really pretty cool in my opinion.
How would you classify the book in terms of genre?
Genre is a tricky thing. I would classify Sea Turtles as a romantic, suspenseful, mysterious action-adventure thriller. Now, does that fit neatly onto a shelf? No. But in truth, all novels, all stories have a multitude of different characteristics. And so to try to place any book neatly on a shelf, I think is very difficult. The publishing industry wants us to do this. They want us to say, put this on a romance shelf, or put this on the action adventure shelf, put this on the mystery shelf. And so as authors, we have to try to categorize it in, one of those areas. I like to think of my books as adventure thrillers, although my understanding of a thriller is that the world has to be at stake versus a suspense, which is more localized. It's suspenseful for the players involved, but the world is not going to be forever changed or destroyed if Kip Stone doesn't save the day. And so it's really geared more towards suspense, but I don't really think that suspense is being used as a category as much as, say, just to call it a thriller. So adventure thriller leaning more towards suspense.
What inspired you to write Sea Turtles?
I thought that it would be an awesome adventure in which to research, and I've always wanted to be a scuba diver. I wanted to become certified for a long time, and this gave me an excuse to do that. So as part of the research for the book, my wife and I went to take some scuba classes. We got certified. Then I found out that about 90% of the people who get certified to scuba dive never actually go on a vacation. And once I heard that, I decided we were going to be in the top 10% and we were actually going to go somewhere. So we went down to the Caribbean. We went to a small island called Bonaire and had a great time down there. Dove a lot of the reefs. It's shore diving down there, and so we had a great time. And in the process of laying out this particular novel, I got to dip into a lot of that knowledge base that we had gained from our diving certification. And so I guess to say what inspired me would be just a desire to actually try to live this particular adventure as best I could. Now, I didn't get shot at down in the Caribbean. I never had any kind of mishap at all. Everything went flawlessly. But, in a book, you get to do whatever you want. And so I put Kip Stone into situations that I could have only imagined. I'm inspired to write novels that, interest me and things that I can be enthused about. And this was just really right up my alley.
Would you consider your book to be similar to others we may have read? If so, which ones?
I really think that what we do as writers is we kind of assemble all the voices of other writers who we've read. And over the years, as readers, we digest all kinds of different styles, sounds, voices. And so we kind of throw all that in. I wouldn't necessarily say that my book is similar in any ways to anything in particular. I'm inspired a lot by movies that I watch, and I like adventure movies. Indiana Jones is one of my favorite movies, and the story arc in that movie is one that works really well when you translate to a novel. Other movies that I've kind of dipped into, an old Michael Douglas movie called Romancing the Stone, which is hands down one of my favorite movies. Another similar movie, Harrison Ford was in one called 6 Days, 7 Nights with Anne Heche. The two were stranded on an island together, had to escape trouble. I just like that whole type of concept. As far as books, I would consider my book similar to many of the first-person stories that you'll read. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge Travis McGee fan. And so I've read all those books. I would probably be lying if I said I wasn't striving to, achieve at least some degree of what John D. MacDonald had accomplished there. He wrote for many more years than I've written, so I've got a ways to go on that, I'll admit it. But I love the Travis McGee series. Another series that I really enjoyed was the Clive Cussler stuff, and he wrote a book. One of his first ones was called Mediterranean Caper. In my opinion, that book was quite different than his later stuff, and I actually thought that it was a better book than some of his later stuff. That's personal opinion, but I really related to the character. I think Dirk Pitt in that book was the younger version of Dirk and more energetic, and I think Kip Stone at this point in his life is more energetic. He just feels younger. And so I'm not sure if I'll age him or if he'll stay the same, but it kind of has a similar feel to that Mediterranean Caper, if anyone's read that.
Can you tell us a bit about your writing process?
My writing process, it kind of changes, but the number one thing that I have to do is I have to start writing early. I usually will get to work at 6, and I'll have enough endurance till about noon. But if I don't start right away in the morning, if I monkey around with email or checking Facebook or lately checking Goodreads, which I'm on that constantly now, if I don't start writing right away, then it's almost the day gets scrapped. And so I really have to get here to work, get started. I'll usually start by going over yesterday's work, making some edits on that, retyping that, and that gets the juices flowing. And then I'll start and I'll write from, let's say 8 o'clock until noon, and I try to follow a strict regiment. I find that the faster I write, the better it is, and the better off I am. So I try to do, 200, 250 words every 30 minutes. That may seem like a long time to other writers, but for me, that's a pretty good pace. I can usually do about 5 pages a day. So I have a good time. If I quit by noon, I'm feeling real good about my day's work, and that's just kind of the zone that I like to stay in. I lay out everything on index cards, and so I kind of have a plan of where I'm going to go. It follows more of a story arc. I use chapter headings, and that kind of keeps me knowing about where I need to be going. Beyond that, a lot of times the characters will kind of dictate where they want to go. I may have a plan initially, and I may have just generally some ideas on a plot or whatever, but the characters a lot of times will end up, steering this venture in a different direction than I had planned. Ultimately, though, I try to come back to a known ending or generally to where I think that the story needs to resolve.
How do you feel about publishing fiction in this day and age?
Publishing books is easier now than I think it's probably ever been, assuming you don't expect to go out and make millions of dollars. If you don't expect to land a major publishing deal right away, I'm having a good time. I think that if you have the desire to write books, that you should do that. And nobody's going to tell you you have to write this or you can't write that. You don't have to worry about that. Write what you want, write what you're enthusiastic about, get it published, and try to find readers for that. It really is all about finding readers. The first reader is yourself. As the author, you are the first reader, and you need to make sure that you're happy. That's what I try to do. I try to make sure that when I am finished with a novel, that I like it first. And then my second job is to go out and find other readers who might like this, put it in front of them, and see what happens.
What would you like readers to gain from your book?
First of all, I need to find a reader who has similar interests to me. And if I can find that reader, and if you look for other readers who enjoy books that you enjoy, I think that you're getting close to that. But finding that reader who has the same bend of mind that I have, who may be somewhat interested in taking the type of, armchair adventures that I enjoy, if I can find those readers out there, then what I would hope that they gain from my book is a sense of escape in a direction that they would like to escape in. When we imagine the perfect escape, I want to try to give that to people. But it really is going to start with finding readers who are kind of thinking along the same lines that I'm thinking, and that's kind of the challenge. When you're here in your local community and you're looking around, first of all, you wonder, where are all the readers? I'm the only one who ever carries a book with me wherever I go. But what happens when you get online and you start to get involved with some of the communities, and Goodreads is a great example of that, you start to learn very quickly that there are thousands and thousands of other readers out there, and many of those are reading the same books that you are. And so my hope is to be able to give those readers who I am connecting with and making friends with, I'm going to hope that I can give them something out of my book that they are looking for. And if they have a good time reading it, if they enjoy it, that's really my only goal.
Are you planning to write more books along these lines?
I am definitely planning to write more books in the Kipstone Epic Adventures series. I have a great time writing these books. There's an entire world of adventure out there that I want to take, that I want to imagine. I don't really see this well of ideas running out for me or running dry. And so I imagine that I can continue to do this for a good long time. There's other things that I want to write too, but I probably don't think I'll ever quit writing Kipstone Adventures.
Would you consider yourself a reader first or a writer first, and why?
I would definitely consider myself a reader first and a writer second. I've read for as long as I can remember. I've always got a book in my hand, and I feel indebted in many ways to all the authors and writers who've come before me. People who I can only aspire to match their talents, Hemingway and Margaret Mitchell, Larry McMurtry, all of these great writers, John D. MacDonald. I've read all of their books, and the only reason that I really write is for a sense of wanting to, make a contribution to one of the best hobbies there is left on this earth. I think that reading books is the greatest pastime. And so I want to be able to give back something to that instead of just I'm taking, I'm reading all the time, just devouring. And I've got gobs of bookshelves full. And, I want to be able to contribute something to that so that I'm not just taking. Kind of a weird answer, but that's what I've got.
How can readers connect with you to ask questions and learn more about your books?
Well, readers can connect with me through my website. I've got bobwardbooks.com. You can email me. At this point, I'm not so overloaded that I wouldn't respond. I'm also really digging in hard on Goodreads. I just think Goodreads is the best place for a reader and a writer to connect. And so, friend me on Goodreads, friend me on Facebook. You can connect with me either way. Go to my website. I'll try to keep everything that I'm doing updated so that you don't have to search too hard for any answers that you're looking for. But feel free to email me anytime.
Thank you, Bob Ward, for sharing your thoughts on your book, Sea Turtles, A Kipstone Adventure, and thanks to the members of the Author Interviews group. Please feel free to discuss this interview in the comments section below. Have a nice day.